Hi, I'm Faith Perkins, owner of Salonfaith. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a segment of our salon training program, which is our Via haircutting system. This system was created by Mickey Hadoum. He is a national trainer with U4 International, and he had created a haircut academy for Euphoria and for the stylists out there in the industry that really want to understand how to create a haircut or give them a system that they can follow through with. This system, you're going to be able to create nice layers within the haircut. Your layers can either flip out, go under, or be seamless. And here we go. I'm going to start off with giving you a breakdown on the Via haircutting system. So in this system, we work with quadrants and zones. So the quadrants are breaking down into 4 quadrants of the head. So starting with the front hairline, center part, to the center back, down to the nape. From the highest point of the head, so that's where the comb leaves the head, to top of the ear on both sides. That is the 4 quadrants of the head. The zones are parietal ridge through drop crown to parietal ridge on the opposite side. So the whole entire top of this head is zone 1. Zone 2 is the bottom of the parietal ridge to top of the ear. Zone 2, all the way through to the opposite side. On both sides, it is the same, parietal ridge to top of the ear. So zone 3 is top of the ear to bottom of the ear, going all the way around the head. Zone 4 is the bottom of the ear to the nape area, going all the way to the opposite side just behind the ear. Now it's important, going back to zone 3, there is no zone 3 above the ear because there is no hair that lives there. There will be a small section right in front of the ear, so that little sideburn section will live in zone 3. There may not be any hair there to cut. Just behind the ear in zone 3, you have to be mindful of the hair that lives directly behind the ear. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to how this hairline is just behind the ear, and when you project that hair, you want to project it out from exactly where that hair lives. That gives you all the zones within this system. Now, in order to start in this haircut, we're going to start with the IY section. The IY section starts with the front of the hairline going to the drop crown area. This is going to be your guide for the entire haircut. So you're going to pinch this out in that 1-inch section. This will be based off of either a side part or a center part. This haircut, I am going to demo it with a center part for you. Within this haircutting system, I'm going to be demoing our V haircutting system. The V haircutting system actually allows you to kick all the layers out. So everything's going to be kicking out through the entire haircut. With a Via haircutting system, you can have horizontal layers, vertical layers, or diagonal layers. Either gonna kick out or they'll bubble under. This is the alphabet of hair cutting. Okay, so the first thing we wanna do is we're gonna go in and cut the perimeter lengths. We wanna make sure that we start off with the 4 quadrants. So the 4 quadrants, once again, from the center part line to the nape area. Top of the head, so the highest point of the head to top of the ear on both sides. Now, since we established our 4 quadrants, at this point in time, you're gonna want your client to stand up because we will be cutting the perimeter of the hair. So you have her stand up. You wanna make sure that she's facing forward and she's standing perfectly straight. Her head is also facing forward as well. Once you cut the perimeter in the back, you're gonna have her turn her head to the side so her hair drapes over the shoulders in the back as well, doing that on both sides. So now I'm gonna go into the haircut and establish my perimeter length. And you're going to want to have your client turn her head once you cut the perimeter in the back. Turning her head into her shoulder. Your guide's going to come from the back section. If you don't see your guide, you take a smaller section. Now you want to turn her around the opposite direction, so have her turn her head to the left And then have her turn and face you towards the front, so she's facing forward. And you want to double check both sides. Check for balance. If you feel like it's slightly off on one side, then have her turn to the right and to the left. Once you establish the perimeter length, you're going to have your client sit down and we are going to section out our IY section. Her IY section is going to be right over the center of the part to the drop crown area in the back. You're going to pinch this out, so comb this back a little bit. Your hair is nice and combable. That color lock system really makes the hair really nice and combable. Pinching that back all the way to the drop crown area. You want to make sure this is nice and clean on both sides. You're going to stand on the left of the head. Pick this up, you're going to drop it in 2 sections. So at the highest point of the head is where you're going to drop it. Straight up off the head at 90. Before you cut, you want to determine where that layer is going to live at on the head. So look in the mirror, think about the style that you're trying to create to determine the length. I am going to take 1 inch off the length for my layer. My fingers are straight, my elbow is up. You want to look below your fingers, the 3 Ds. So you're looking for your projection. So I'm in my IY section. Zone, I'm living in zone 1. And then I'm going to also create my guide. Okay, drop that. You're going to take just a portion of your previous section, picking up the rest of your IY. So now you have a guide, and this is your guide for the entire haircut. See your guide, look, you remember the 3 Ds. Look below, make sure you're projecting at 90. Checking your arm projection, also looking for your guide as well. Everything's good, cut. You never want to cut past your second knuckle. There you go. Now we're going to take everything to the right of the head. At this point in time, I'm going to be standing behind my client. My first section is going to be pinching out right at the front of the hairline. So if this client had a fringe, which would be a bang area, you would have that sectioned out prior to and cut that at the very end of this haircut. This client will not have a bang. She's going to have just long layers in this haircut. So I'm going to pinch out my section using the wide tooth of my comb. For control, flipping to the fine teeth of my comb to condense that section together and to comb it up where I want it to live. So everything is coming straight up at 90. Looking for my guide. There's my guide. And then I also want my fingers to point up towards the ceiling. This is going to create the V. Cut it, drop it. I'm not going to even worry about that section because my guide comes from the IY section. So that everything that I cut, I'm going to drop forward so it's out of my way. Going back to the wide tooth of my comb, pinching this out, projecting it up, making sure I can see my guide, making sure my projection is clean, fingers are pointed up towards the ceiling, taking that corner off. Now I have a transition piece, so I'm going to drop this piece back to the back of the head. I'm going to pinch out right in that zone 1 area, projecting up, looking for my guide. There's not much there to cut. Pinch out my next section. Fingers are projected up, making sure that I'm in my projection. Fingers are pointed up towards the ceiling. That off, drop it. I'm going to check my final section. Now I'm going to take my IY to the opposite side of the head. This time you're going to be facing in front of your client. Coming to the front portion of the head, pinching out just right out the front of the hairline. You also, when you're cutting the front section, you got to be mindful of what the hairline is doing. You have to look for how it's receding. You want to make sure you compensate for that as well. So you're going to project exactly how that hair lives off the head. Up, there's my guide, drop it forward. Now I'm going to pinch out my next section using the wide tooth of the comb, coming straight up from where it lives. You can ensure my fingers are kicking up, pointing up. My elbow is up as well. Drop that forward. So now I'm going back into the transition piece again, dropping this back. I'm still in zone 1, so I'm just going to pinch out right here. Using the wide teeth of my comb. Then flipping to the fine teeth to condense that section. Looking for the corner, determining where my guide's at, looking for what I need to cut off, also making sure that my projection is nice and clean. So if you see that it's sloppy, you want to just make sure you clean it up really well. Drop that down. Okay, pinch out my next section. Going into zone 2, so we're going back to the right of the head. Your guide in zone 2 comes from the bottom of zone 1. So what you want to do, you're going to pinch this section out right in the front of the hairline to the top of the ear here, because you want to make sure you have the entire zone 2 section. I'm using the fine teeth of my comb to bring that section together. You want to always make sure that you can see your guide. I can see my guide. That's the corner I need to cut off. Make sure my projection is good. So you also want to be mindful of how you're projecting this, because we want the layers to kick out. Everything needs to project at a 45 off the head. Drop that down. Out of my way, I'm going to move directly right behind the section and pick up my next section. Pinching it out. Always start with the wide teeth of the comb to pick it up, and then flip over to the fine teeth to condense it together. Look for your guide. Make sure you can always see your guide before you cut. Bring that up, drop it out. We're going to continue this all the way to the opposite side of the head. Your section's always in front of you as you move around the head. We call this the Via dance. Moving into zone 3, you got to remember there's hair in front of the ear, and then there's some hair behind the ear. There's nothing over the top of the ear in zone 3. So we're going to double check in the front section. There's probably nothing there to cut. When we move directly behind the ear, we also got to be mindful of how that hairline is just behind the ear. Once again, we're going to use the wide teeth of the comb, pinching out our section right in front of that ear area. Picking it up. We're going to look to see if there's anything there to cut. There is a little bit. Also make sure you're not cutting your perimeter length out. Drop that out. We'll just take that the section that's right over the top of the ear, pinch that out so it's out of our way. Going directly behind the ear, pinching out that section. Picking it up. And also in zone 3, your guide comes from the bottom of zone 2. Projecting it. We're going to take that corner off right there, drop it down. We're going to go directly behind that and continue this all the way back behind the head to the other ear area. And once again, you're seeing me do the Via dance. So coming directly behind the ear area on the opposite side, what's the thing that we have to pay attention to? Is making sure how that hair is living behind the ear. What's going on behind this ear on the right side could be different on the left side, so you always got to be mindful of that hairline. So we know the section right above the ear area we don't have to concern ourselves with, so we can comb that back, get it out of the way. The hair in front of the ear area, we want to also double check. So at this point, you want to make sure you're mindful of the perimeter length. Just a little bit there to cut. Okay, there we go. Drop it down. Going to the back in zone 4. So now you don't have to worry about going to the front on the right side. You're just going to go directly behind the head in the nape area, working in zone 4. Pinching out your section using the wide teeth of your comb. Projecting this up. There may not be anything there to cut. Zone 4 is probably going to drop out, but you just want to make sure as you're going through to look to see if there's any corners in zone 4. Pinching out your next section using the wide teeth of your comb. You're going to want to continue with this all the way to the opposite side, just behind the ear area in zone 4. Thank you for watching our video today. This haircut that you learned is one of the many haircuts that we teach here at Salonfaith in our Salonfaith Assistant program. You can follow us on any of our social media outlets, as well as go to our website, which is salonfaith.com. Thank you.